Professor Dr. Bhuta Singh Sidhu is Vice Chancellor, Maharaja Ranjit Singh Punjab Technical University, Bathinda, Punjab. After obtaining Bachelor in Engineering in Mechanical Engineering and Masters in Engineering in Production Engineering from Guru Nanak Dev Engineering College, Ludhiana, Punjab, he has completed his PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. He has served as Dean Academics, Inder Kumar Gujral, Punjab Technical University, Jalandhar, Director in Yadavindra College of Engineering and Technology, Talwandi Sabo, that is a university campus of Punjabi University. He is the founder, director of PIT Mansa and PIT Kapurthala. He has served as a Dean Planning, Maharaja Ranjit Singh Punjab Technical University, Bathinda. He has guided number of MTech and PhD dissertations. He has published 2 books and more than 180 research papers. He is a recipient of AICT Fellowship for PhD. He has been awarded with Best Engineering College Teacher Award by Indian Society for Technical Education, New Delhi, India. He has been nominated as member of TCS Advisory Council, USA. He is a fellow of the Indian Society of Continuing Engineering Education and Institution of Engineers, India. Now, I would like to invite a great academician, wonderful teacher, Dr. Professor Bhuta Singh Sidhu, to share his experience with us. Please, sir.
Thank you, Yavendra, for your introduction. I think I have to share my screen first.
Yes, sir, you can share.
This PPT is visible to all?
Yes, sir, visible.
First of all, good morning to all the delegates, participants. I think it is okay because it seems like after 1.5 hour lecture, it is immediately started. Any issue with anyone?
No, sir, no problem.
So it is okay then. Then okay, I will continue. So first of all, because my talk will be a very basic, we'll discuss about the research indices, the research indexes. So the talk will be just like we can say a type of a discussion. Anyone from the delegates, from the participants, even update, discuss anything at any point. You just have to raise your query, or even many of you are also requested to give your updates relatively wherever it is required. If anything is missing, because the purpose is just to give you awareness about these research indices, because now they are much important everywhere. When you apply for any of the, like some research project, you will apply somewhere for your new any of your new post, and almost in all the journal fields we consider, we give a weightage to the research indices to a particular, like author. It may be many times like even for your career advancement promotions, your academic points, that will also be considered through what is the impact of a journal in which your publications are there. So generally we are evaluated with these research indices, and if we have aware about them, then generally we may have some option relatively to improve our research status, our own research impact, as well as the research impact of the particular books, journals in which we are publishing. So it is a very informative talk we will discuss. Generally, our discussion will include the publishing quality. Okay. When we are publishing maybe a book, maybe a research paper, then how we adhere to how we can add a quality to our own publications. Then we will discuss small about what is the importance, why we need these quality indices. Then what citations are, because generally we deal with all that. Then but what these citations are. Then what is a journal citation report? Basically the report that contains all the information about the impact factors and etc. All the indices, that report is generally published annually. Then what journal quality indices are and author quality indices are, and then how to locate how we can find out on the Scopus our own indices. So we'll discuss turn wise all these points. So first, if we come about, we came about the research, its integrity and standards that will depend upon the prime important is the material, what material we are going to publish. So first, that information, whatever material we have, that is much important relative to the integrity and standards of our research. It is the latest material, it is the latest results, up to what point we have analyzed, what our recommendations are, all these matters that generally related to a material which we are publishing. Then second important is the source where we are publishing, whatever information we have, whatever research we have made, then in which journal, in which book, yeah, in where website we are going to publish that, because the high quality related source of publication is much important relative to the integrity, relative to the standards of your research. Then author experience and affiliations. It is also much important. Okay, what is the experience of author and what is her affiliations? Because many times, even if your name is connected with many of the prestigious institutes, even many times the quality at par is ignored. In that case, like if you're publishing from your affiliation with certain IITs, certain high repute NITs, high repute universities, so automatically that will also add quality to your research. It will make the integrity and standards of your research, because this point is much important. And many times when you heard to very experienced speakers, so many times they will talk about, if you want to find out in which journal you have to publish, irrespective of its impact factor, you will find out where the top 50 universities are publishing their research. So that is automatically add to the quality and standards of your research. Then this is a very common, because any of your research process, it may be your PhD research, it may be you're working on certain research projects. So these are the main parameters which we come across. That is, first is identify topic of your interest. When you start to do any research, the first point comes on what topic you want to research. That will, if it is of your interest, then it is much important. Then generate related questions. That is, if you're interested in a certain particular topic, relatively we'll find out, we can say, the state of unsolved problems, or we will raise certain questions and try to answer all these. So relatively all that we will define our research problem, a formulation of research problem. Then what are your findings, what solutions you propose? This all includes your research. Basically your research process, when you will start, you will have a wide field, out of which you have to concentrate on what you want to research relative by searching the literature. But otherwise literature search will continue till your research is final. Whereas your documentation, when you will start from zero, because when you start your research on a particular topic, you have no publication, no documents, but automatically your goes on to generate the documents. It may be certain review papers, it may be certain experimental result papers. So automatically this process follows this, and the quality of your research, if you can say, will depend if you maintain standards, if you maintain quality at each of the points. It is not like that you can only improve the quality at the end solution, at the end result. Not possible. The quality will be maintained if you have maintained it at all the points from the start. Then what these research indices are. The research indices generally, when we can say the indices are publishing of your scientific research has become a critical for career progression, because if you know, even when the UGC regulations came, when we revised our scales previously in 2000, we can say 6, so automatically more emphasis on your career progression is upon the quality of your research. It may be academic research, it may be certain other type of research, but it is much related to relative to your career if you could make a quality research. Then escalating competition to publish has led to the development of bibliographic research indices that defines a journal's academic repute as well as researcher's output. Your, if you can say your research indices are that will define, if it is related to a journal, it will define the reputation, status of a journal. If it is related to a author or researcher, then automatically it will define the status of a researcher. So automatically these points are much important, and if we publish in a high quality journal, automatically it will indicate your research is of more quality, and it will also improve your own research indices, where we can talk your H index or any of the other author indices. Now, academic publishing is influenced by a tripod of interrelated factors. There are certain factors on which are relatively the factors which will influence your publications. First one is author wish to publish more, because when we can say our career progression or further, we can say upgradation will depend upon your publications in number, we can say in quantity as well as in quality. So automatically all the authors are wish to publish more number of research papers. Second one is readers are overwhelmed by research, and wish to read less, because when authors wish to publish more number of research papers, so automatically the readers have availability of large number of these publications, and they wish to read only a related papers, because it is reading is also much time consuming. So everyone needs that whatever is much related to him or her, he or she have to study that. Then editors are principally interested in enhancing their journal's readership and profile. Contrary to this, the publishers, the editors of any journal, any book, they are concerned with increasing the readership of their publications. So these three are, I can say, inter-opposing to all that. So you might be aware of these forces in order to succeed. When you publish your paper, you have to take care of all that. Like if we can say the first one, you have to add more material to your research paper for its easier publication. Instead to bifurcate into 2-3 research papers, so automatically then it is a challenge for your publications. So all are, we can say, opposing to each other, but when we are aware relative to that, and then we can successfully publish whatever research we are doing in our quality research papers. Now there are 3 factors that led to development of citation indexing back in 1950s. So this is how we come to a development of this citation index. The indices from where we came, it starts from 1950s onward. The first important point is that after followed by World War II, there were huge influx of government funds for research. If there are more funds for a research. So automatically there are large number of research projects are there and you will publish more. So automatically it will increase the number of publications. When number of publications is increased, so automatically it become a very difficult for their manual indexing. So we will switch over to us some type of online indexing. The digital indexing is there from where it came out. Then the current method of subject indexing was not useful because discipline specific. Even many times earlier, there are different types of journals will publishing a generally specific type of terminology, like it relates to a particular type of a research field. So then also indexing is much we can say difficult for all these publications. Then availability of machines for computation and data processing, because at the time these are not available, but now we have availability of everything. And now you are, we can say, one of the major part of your research is literature review at that time, because if you go back to beyond 20 years, then it will become a very difficult task to carry out your literature review. When first you identify relative to your topic which journals are related, and then you will search all these journals relatively what they have published earlier, wherever are the gaps, and then only you are able to define your problem for your research. Now it becomes so easy when we have a digital indexing, everything online is available with a single click. Even your literature review work, I think it is reduced up to more than 90%, because now everything is online available relative to your topic. You will make a search, you will find out whatever research have already been made, and how you will select your problems. So this is the benefits which are given this digital indexing. Then the historical development, how it took place, that is the impact factor was developed by Eugen Garfield, the founder of Institute of Scientific Information, ISI, which is presently a part of Thomas Reuther in 1955, following ideas inspired by Vannevar Bush's famous article, As We May Think. In 1945, this article was published by Bush, that is, As We May Think. The purpose of this particular article is about how we increase the human memories and how we make more digital storage. He has given certain ideas by relating to the human minds, from where this idea will came for digital indexing or indices. Then the Eugen Garfield has also published an article. The article name is Citation Indexes for Science, a new dimension in documentation through association of ideas. So this article was published in 1955. Thereafter, the digital indexing, indices, impact factors, all has came into existence. Then we publish yearly reports on that also. Now, why? What is the need? What is the requirement of these indices? One is, if we publish these indices, they evaluate the scholarly worth of a journal. Because when there is no data, then generally immediately we do not have any idea relative to what is the importance of a particular type of a journal. But now they easily evaluate and available to all relative to the worth of a journal in which we are publishing. Rank journals within a discipline. On the same discipline, it will make a ranking of the journals. Okay, this is journal is of more quality relative to other. So that will also give a free hand to the authors where they have to publish their research paper. Help you decide where to publish your article. Then evaluation for promotion, tenure, grants, or in some countries even government funding of an institution. This is available in our India also, because when you will evaluate an institute, you will evaluate an author, particular a professor. So automatically they will help to find out where you will get to give to a grant, where you will make to a promotion. Then frequently used as an evaluation source by librarians during journal cancellations or new purchases. It will make a ready data available to the librarians to subscribe journals in their library for the readership of their stakeholders. Some examples are like in England, hiring panel routinely consider impact factor when they will hire, make any new uh, appointments. So generally they will consider the impact factors. By Spanish law, researchers are rewarded for publishing in journals defined by ISI as prestigious upper third of impact factor listings. So they will generally reward if you publish your publications in the top like 1/3 of the impact factors. In China, scientists get cash bonus for publishing in high impact journals. In some schools, physics student must publish at least 2 articles with a combined impact factor of 4 to get their PhD. Even in our India also, even in our university, in PTU, in other universities, even in the PAU, for your like your annual increment, you have to publish certain publications. Maybe I don't know exactly the condition. It may be 1 or 2. So it is everywhere. When we consider, when we give weightage for your career promotions, for new appointments, for giving our research grants. So if we readily these indexes are available, then automatically we will find out, we will identify the researchers who is a quality researcher, who is a high impact researcher, and relatively it is easy for the government also to give their grants accordingly. The author should be familiar with because all these websites, databases, we might have to be familiar to them so that we can work on our own H&X and impact factor estimation systems. These are some of the websites like Thomson Reuters is there, Google Scholar is there, Scopus is there, then Web of Science, the Web of Knowledge. These are some of the sites. The Web of Knowledge, the Web of Science is generally owned by Thomson Reuters. Formerly, it is ISI. Now it's changed as Web of Knowledge and Web of Science. It is an academic citation indexing and search service which is provided by Thomson Reuters and founded by Ewan Garfield, who has basically started this indexing process. So he has founded this in 1960, although indexing is started in 1955 with his earlier article publication. The Web of Knowledge covers it covers the science, social science, arts, and humanities disciplines. So it provides bibliographic contents and tools to access, analyze, and manage research information. So yearly it captures around 65 million cited references. This is the total detailed about the Web of Knowledge, the Web of Science. The Scopus is bibliographic database containing citations for academic journal articles. It covers nearly 22,000 titles from over 5,000 publishers. So this Scopus is owned by Elsewhere and available online. So you will find out like Science Direct or Elsewhere website where even you can find out the impact of the journals and even the impact of authors are available on their websites. Now, what are the main challenges now? Because when we index everything in the digital form, everything is available on the net. So that information, that indexing has also posed certain challenges, and I can say that these are even supportive to increase the quality of your research, like your unoriginal research. If your research is not your own, not original research, then automatically it is very difficult to publish because all that information is available on the internet. Incorrect or flawed research method, if you use that, because then automatically if your method is not a correct, then automatically again the information is available in the indexing. Unrepresentative statics, even your plagiarism, easily you will find out how much plagiarism is there in your publication. So automatically, if it does not meet the criteria, does not meet the standards of how much plagiarism you can officially made, automatically your paper is not published. If your sample size is small, then automatically difficult to publish. Ethical approval, if you not obtained your ethical approval and if your paper is poorly written, because now even grammatical checks and all that is available online, and it's very easy to the publisher, to the editor, to find out these flaws in your publication. As well as although there are many challenges, but it will also create certain opportunities for the authors, you know, to overcome these challenges. Because if it poses many challenges, automatically it will provide certain opportunities also. If you go through that, then automatically you can add quality to your research. Like there are many online courses are available, online courses on biostatistics. So you can simply online go through that and learn about that. There are like using G power as a tool to compute sample size accurately. This is the software which is free available, and it is developed by one of the university, where you can find out about what size of your sample is required. Then using plagiarism detector programs. There are so many plagiarism detector softwares programs are there, and relatively you can check your publication before submitting to any of the journal, any of the source for publication, how much plagiarism is there, and you can make certain changes so that it will indicate it as your original work. Apply a reference management software. These are some types of software that is available on internet, like your EndNote web, then reference manager. These are some of the software, those are available online. You can utilize that. You can make your research more visible and reachable. That is also because relatively now you have an idea online available in which journal you have to publicize, because if you publish in a related journal, so automatically it will make add a quality as well as make your research more visible to the readers. It is available. Then we discuss something about that citation and referencing in research work. This is also a very important, because when we talk about the plagiarism, then automatically wherever you have to refer the work of other authors, you might have to give them a credit relatively. Generally, your citation, the reference matters to when we can say in our text where we are writing, we will add certain number in between that where we are referring a particular part of our author, and then we give a list in the bibliography. Then it is a complete citation. If simply you are giving in the publication list, in the bibliography, you are referring simply a paper of authors, but you have not given anywhere in your text the indication that where you have referred that, then it is not a citation. Citation is when two things are complete. One is you have given it in your bibliography list, and second is you have given a proper note where you have referred the research publication of that particular author. So this is much important. Many times in our research papers, even in our like doctorate research, we give a bibliographic list. Many of the papers have not been referred in our thesis, or we have not been actually referred in our publication. That is of no use, and automatically it will create a doubts about your publication. So you have to make a complete citation if it is required in your research work. Then we'll study about what this journal citation report is. Journal citation reports is a database in which you can find the impact factor of journals and other metrics related to the journal titles. The relative importance of a journal may help you to decide in which journal you publish your research. Then use of this journal citation report. What is the use of this journal citation report? What do librarians, first the researchers and publishers do with journal citation report? So it will discover you highest impact journals. One, it will find out which journals are having a highest impact. Then develop and manage journal collections, and the librarian will manage them their library collections accordingly by knowing the impact of the different types of journals. Then find related journals. It is helpful to the researchers. You will find out which journal is related to you. Then identify review journals. Even you will find out because there are so many types of journals. One journal may be more related to publish your scientific information. One journal may be a review type of a journal. Then view citation information for subjects category. So these are some of the I think used for the librarians, for the researchers, and for the publishers. Now we will study in two parts. One is first we will study what journal quality indices are there, and then we will go the next part, that is quality indices for authors. So one thing is missing, we may discuss in certain other type is like, because now there are much data available on the like indices for the different institutions also, different organizations also. So we will discuss only two, the journal indices and the author indices. The following are the quality indices commonly used for journals, like Thomas Reuther, the Web of Science, that defines the impact factor and immediacy index. Eigenfactor is there, whereas the Scopus, that is owned by elsewhere, they define SI Mago journal ranking. So we'll discuss turn wise what these are and what are the impacts. First, we'll come over to an impact factor. Like your impact factor is the measure of the frequency with which the average article in a journal has been cited in a particular year. That is, it will be completely defined, but otherwise the impact factor means it will indicate the impact of that particular journal to which this impact factor belongs. So automatically, if your journal is of high impact, its impact factor is more. If it is of low impact, its impact factor is less. So that number, if number is higher, means your journal is more impactful. This is the procedure, how we define, how we calculate. First is it measures the frequency. Generally, we will take if some article published in a journal, then how frequently it is referred by the other authors, that automatically indicates the impact of your journal. Because if your journal is more impactful, then automatically more reader will read it, and you will have a large number of citations for that. Then it is indicative of the importance, impact, rank of a journal by calculating the times its articles are cited. Then we have an impact factor. Like the impact factor is a measure used to indicate the relative importance, because it is relative to each other, as we have already discussed. If number is high, your journal is more impactful. If it is low, your journal is, so it is relative to each other. The impact factor was devised by Eugene Garfield, the founder of the Institute of Science Information, Institute of Scientific Information, or web knowledge or web science. Impact factors are calculated yearly starting from 1975 for those journals that are indexed. So it is only for indexed journals. Those are ISI indexed. Only for these journals you can find out a impact factor. How we calculate the impact factor is like you have a 1 year of your reference period. If you find out the impact factor in the year 2009, then automatically that year become as the year reference period in which you are finding out your impact factor is in which we will count the citations for that particular year. Whereas year of citation window for the papers published in 2008 and 2007. In these 2 years, what papers are published, how these papers are cited in 2009, that will define the impact factor of your journal in 2009. More precisely, like this is an example of how we calculate this impact factor. To calculate the impact factor of a journal in 2009 is the impact factor is A divided by B, where A is the number of times that all items published in that journal, the same example I am taking, like we are finding it for 2009, in 2007 and 2008 were cited by the next publication during 2009. So it is only for index journals, only for indexed publications, and only for citable publications, because many times there are review papers, there are certain reports, so that are not included in this for the publication in these 2 years. B is the total number of citable articles published by the journal. Citable means the articles that can be cited. That is I'm discussing, like it excludes review papers, reports, like that. Only the papers, those are citable, that are counted. Now, suppose in 2009, the items published 2008 and 2007 are cited, like in 2008 published papers had this much number of citations. The papers published in 2007 are this much amount of citations. So total citation is 22,087. Now the number of items published in 2008 and 2007, these are the citable publications. Otherwise publications may be more than this, but these are 709. So your impact factor is 31.152. This is the how we calculate the impact factor, but this relates only ISI indexed journals. The publications of the same, the citations in the same group, ISI indexing. Now, where do we find impact factors? Now, from where we can find out? The first important is your journal citation report is there, where you can easily get the your impact factor of your journals. Check ISI Web of Knowledge with the new session necessarily to get the up-to-date impact factor scores of journal ranking performance. Both Web of Science and journal citation reports are based on the same database of journal citations and cited references. Now, criticism of the impact factor. Yeah, what are the, we can say, there are certain disadvantages, certain limitations are there. One is it is only limited subset of journals in indexed ISI, because it only relates to a limited subset of journals, not all. There are so many other databases are there. Those are publishing, but it relates only ISI journals. Only uses the articles cited by, because this is the number that ISI journals are there. So this refers the papers cited by these journals. Some disciplines are especially poorly covered, like non-English journals are not included, generally very poorly included in ISI publications. It is only for a short span of 2 years, many times, because there some researchers, some disciplines, their reference might be, the citations might be delayed. Many times they are referring the previous year public citations. Journal citation report now includes, to overcome this, in the indexing in the journal citation report is also by including 5 years data instead of a 2 years data. Is an average, not all articles are equally well cited. Okay, because each individual article will also have its own impact It includes self-citations, that is article in which article cited other papers in the same journal. It includes self-citations also. This is where the authors can manage how they can improve even their impact factor, like their by referring, just citing their own papers which are previously published to the new publication. So this is also one of the limitation because it includes self-citations also. Only includes citable articles. This is when we call about numerator and denominator, because in the numerator it includes all the citations, but in the denominator it includes only the citable articles. Editor may skew, so that is how the editor of a journal can improve, can make variation in their impact factors, because if they will publish more number of non-citable articles, that will decrease the total number of citable articles. So automatically it will increases the, sorry, editor may skew by increasing the number of review articles. Yes, it is different. If you want to increase a numerator, then more review papers are published. If you are publishing a review papers, automatically you are considering a more number of citations. You will, because it is the review paper, you will review the work of all the previous authors. So it will increase the numerator. So automatically your number is increased. That will increase the impact factor. This is the this is made by intentionally, even made by the editors. Second is by increasing the number of news items, like science journal or in medical journal, that there are more number of news items are there which are cited but not considered as a citable article. If it is not a citable article, then it will decrease your denominator, because now you have a less number of published citable papers, so automatically it will also improve your impact factor. So it is expensive to subscribe. That is a different category, because it will depend upon how expensive is this journal citation report. But this is a very important. Their manipulation can be made by the editors. Then there is another index. This is all about your, I think, according to your impact factor. If you have any questions, we may take it at the end, or otherwise you may ask anywhere, wherever you think certain questions are to be taken. But otherwise, at the end, we can also take your queries, your questions. Now, second is the immediacy index. Generally, immediacy index is the, like when we have a immediate data, like in the impact factor, we will consider the previous years of papers published for citation. But in this case, in the immediacy index, the same year of the citations for the publication of the same year are also taken. The immediacy index is the average number of items and articles cited in the year in which it is published, in the same year. Indicates how quickly articles in a journal are cited. So it basically it will indicate how quickly your papers are referred by, cited by the other authors. So frequently issued journals may have an advantage because an article published early in the year has a better chance of being cited than the, because in this case, if you delayed your publication issue, which is to be published, suppose in the January or in the February, we will publish it in the September, October. So automatically there are very limited chances of citations. But if your journal is so frequent, it will publish more number of issues, and at the time it will publish, then automatically their citations may increase, its immediacy impact index may increase. An immediacy index is a measure of how topical and urgent work published in a scientific journal, because if it is important and urgent, then automatically it is referred in the same year. Along with the better known impact factor measures, it is a calculated each year by the Institute of Scientific Information ISI for those journals which it indexes. Both impact factors and immediacy indices are published. Now, if you have availability of both your immediacy index and your impact factor, you will clear about that journal. One is what is the impact of that journal, and if it is have a high immediacy index means your journal is publishing on time and frequent number of issues in a year are published. So you will have a data available, the knowledge relatively to that particular journal. Now how we calculation made to the immediacy index is, generally it is similar to our impact factor. The immediacy index is calculated based on the paper published in a journal in a single calendar year. For example, 2005 immediacy index for a journal would be calculated as follows. A, the number of times articles published in 2005 were cited in the DEX journals in the same year, in the 2005. B, the number of articles, reviews, proceedings, or notes published. It includes all. It is different only in this case from the impact factor, where impact factor will include only the citable articles, but it includes all articles. It may be a review paper, it may be a proceeding, it may be a notes, all are included. Then immediacy index is A by B. So this is the difference because it corresponds all the data. Now next is, this is relatively whatever calculated by ISI, the DEX journals, the immediacy and the impact factor. Now there is an eigen factor. The eigen factor measures how many people read a journal and think its contents are important. So basically, your eigen factor defines how many readers for a particular journal are there. If its number is higher, means that particular source, journal, book have a more number of readers. Comparatively, its number is less than the less number of. So it generally find out how many readers, how many people will refer to that, as it cannot measure directly, because directly you cannot measure how many readers for a journal is there. Therefore, it measures by counting the total number of citations in the current year for a cited and citing references, so as includes citations from even non-ISI journals, books, dissertations. It includes all for the articles produced in the last 5 years, excluding self-citations. Here, the self-citations are excluded. If one paper is like published by me, and I have making it citation to my the next paper, that those are excluded. Self-citation excluding, basically it gives the total number, how much citations for a particular journal for the papers that are published for the last 5 years. So that gives you a eigen factor. Measure the importance of a journal scientific community and rewards large journals. So how we calculate eigen factor matrices are like year of reference period if 2009, then citation window is for the papers published in 2008, 2007, 2006, 2005 and 2004. Then automatically you will find out it is simply a number, but generally it is converted to by counting 100, so that each journal, the sum of all is 100, and relatively you will find out their eigen factor. For a journal, the number of times article published in the previous 5 years have been cited in the current year. It also considers which journal have contributed these citations, so that highly cited journals will influence the score more than lesser cited journal. A measure of the journal's total importance to the scientific community. Eigenfactor scores are scaled so that the sum of the eigenfactor of all the journals listed is 100. So that is relatively by counting total number of journals for which we are defining that eigenfactors. So you will find out a relative number instead of a total number. Then article influence. The main difference between, like, because we have considered the eigenfactor gives to the influence of your whole journal, how many readers are there, whereas article influence refers to a influence of a particular article published in a journal. This is the main difference between eigenfactor and article influence. Eigenfactor gives the influence of a total journal relative to by finding out how many readers are there, whereas article influence is the relative to a influence of a single article. The article influence quantifies the average influence in a period of 5 years following the publication of the article. Each article which is published, how many citations it have for the 5 years. Generally weighted in favor of highly cited journals, with self-citation being excluded. Again, the self-citations are not included. The article influence score measures the average influence per article of the paper. We have already discussed this. It is calculated by dividing the eigenfactor score by the number of articles published. Article influence scores are summarized so that the mean article in the entire Thomson Journal Citation Report database has an article influence of 1. So this is relative to a influence of a one article. It does not mean that we will consider only this for a one article. It is for all, but when we find out it, that then it becomes a influence of a single article. Then there is a SI Mago journal rank. Generally, that is developed by Professor Flex D. Moya. SI Mago journal rank is prestige metrics based on the idea that all citations are not created equal. With this SI Mago journal ranking, the subject field, quality and reputation of the journal have a direct effect. This is a measure of scientific influence of scholarly journals that accounts for both the number of citations received by a journal and the importance of prestige of the journal where such citations come from. The citation page rank of a journal calculated on the basis of Scopus citation data. So this is different than the earlier is for ISI data, but this is for Scopus citation data divided by the number of articles published by the journal over 3 years. Otherwise, the finding out, if we want to find out SI Mago rank, it's same to impact factor, but it includes a different data source, that is Scopus citation data, and it is for 3 years instead of 2 years or 5 years. Similar to eigenfactor method, but based on citation in Scopus instead of Web of Science, freely available at SI. This is the website where it is available. Covers, because the Scopus is having more number of publications, it covers like 20,000 than JCR, because Scopus covers more journals than Web of Science. More international diversity, 3 years of citation, no self citations. Again, because in impact factor we will consider the self citations also, but in this there's no self citations. This is simply a comparison of all that: impact factor, eigenfactor, SI Mago factor. Higher is better in all the cases. So this is for different disciplines like journals of science, cell, nature, all that. You will find out these values for 2 years, 5 years. So relatively, it will compare the relative importance of these journals also. So now we come over to this is all about your the status, the quality indices for the journals, where we define what these indices are. Even we have studied the method, how we calculate them, although all these are directly available on in the journal citation reports, in some of the websites also. So you can visit over there, you can find out all these parameters for any of the journal directly on their websites also. Now we come over to our quality indices for authors. How a quality, the status, the repute of an author is measured. there are some of the factors are like you have a H index, we have a G index, we have a HB index. We'll study them term wise. Like what is a H index? The H index is a metric to measure the productivity and impact of the published work of a scholar or a particular author or a particular scholar. H index developed by George Harris in 2005. Basically, your H index is measure the both your quantity as well as your quality. So it is not simply if you have a more number of research publication does not mean you have a high H index. If you have a more number of citations does not mean you have a high H, but when you have a both higher, like in quantity you have a more number of research papers and more number of citations for all these research papers, not for a single. So it will matters both your quantity as well as your quality when we find out a H index, when we define a H index. Like your H index that is proposed by J. Harris as an index to quantify an individual's scientific research output. Remember, impact factor is just for journals. But many times, because not many times, all the times, we measure, we evaluate the performance of an author through impact factors. Because when you find out your academic indicator points also, the value, the number to your particular research publication is granted relative to an impact factor of a journal. Because that is the only method how we evaluate, how we give the number to your publications, how we evaluate you, but otherwise the impact factor is matters relative to the impact of a journal. But that means when we evaluate you relative to that, it means we are indicating in which high quality you are publishing your publications. Combines, your H index combines an assessment of both your quantity and quality we have already discussed. The index can also be applied to the productivity and impact of a group of scientists, such as a department or university or country. Your H index is, the index is based on the distribution of citations received by a given researcher publications. Harris writes like a scientist has index H if H of his her number of papers have at least H citations each, and the other papers, that is number of papers minus H papers, have no more than H citations. It means if suppose you have published so many papers, it defines that if your H number of papers, we can take example site, suppose you have published 10 papers, but your publication may be 100, maybe 200, maybe 500, but at least your 5 papers have your citations equal or more than 5, each of them. Suppose your impact factor is only 5. If out of your 10, 5 papers are having citations 5 or more than that. Whereas other papers, if you have like remaining 5 papers are having your citations lesser than 5. If other papers are also having your citation more than 5, then automatically your impact factor, your H index is different. We will have an example in the next slide. In other words, a scholar with an index of H has published H papers, each of which has been cited in other papers at least H times, then your index is H. This is one of the misunderstanding is like, suppose you have an author A, its number of documents are 10, number of citations are 102. Now your average citation per document is 10. So automatically it means your H index is H 10, but actually it is not like that, because I will show you how we calculate this. the same author who is having 102 citations, is one paper is having 50 citations, other may have a 30, third is having 10, four may have having a 5 citations, 5 is having a 2, others are like 6 is 1, 7. There are some papers have no citation. So it means now your H and X, how we find out H and X for that is like if your 5 papers, we will, if its H and X is 5 only if its 5 papers are having citations more than 5, whereas this 5th paper is only 2 citations. But if I go to a 4, its 4 number of papers are having citations more than 4. It means its H and X is 4, not a 10. Its H and X is 4. If its 5th paper is also having 5 citations, then its H and X is 5. But in this case, it is 4. This is one of the example. We'll study further how we calculate. Now, how we determine the H and X is simply you will plot your graph also, your papers on this side, your citations on this side, and automatically you will find out a point where, like, if this is your H number of papers are having H number of citations, then automatically you will calculate okay, this is your H factor, H and X of an author. So automatically defines that more than H citations, whatever papers are number up to H are having citations more than H, whereas the papers beyond H number, if suppose out of 10, maybe if its impact factor is 4, then your remaining 6 citations are 6 papers have citations lesser than H. How to measure H and X? There is a manual method also. You can measure your H and X. Otherwise, there are so many automatic methods you can find out on Scopus. You can find out on Google Scholar the H and X. Measure the H and X by manual method. First, we'll just study so that you will more clearly understand. Otherwise, there are no use to find out this manual method, as we have already available softwares and websites are there to find out H and X directly. It will give you a value because it's already calculated by the databases and available on the net. But the method is, if you find out it manually, first list of the published article for a particular author for which you find out the H and X. First list all its published papers, okay, how many papers he or she has published. Then determine the citation of each article through Google Scholar. Again, through Google Scholar, through other databases, you will find out the citations of all these papers. By finding citations of all these papers, third step is rank the articles from the most cited to the, regardless the date of publication. It may be published in any year, but any year, whatever, first you will give the paper that is having maximum citations, and relatively in the decreasing order, you will enlist all the publications. Then draw a chart or spreadsheet. Example is same. Okay, number of articles are 6, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now for these articles, your citations are like, for your this paper, there is a 1 citation. For again this paper, there is a 1 citation. For your this paper, there are 3 citations. For this third number of article, there are 4 citations, 5. Now you can easily have an idea. Its H and X is 3 because 3 papers are having the citations more than 3, whereas all 3 papers are having citations less than 3. So automatically it is more easily you can find out its H and X is 3. This is the manual method how we find out a H and X. Otherwise, there are so many websites are there. You can directly measure your this H and X. Like again, this is a Scopus. You will see for a particular author, B. Daniel C. it's given that he has 53 documents published. Citations are 731, whereas its H and X is 14. It is directly calculated by Scopus. If you visit on the website and find out the details of this author. Similarly, there is a method like if your different documentations, your document 1 is having this much number of citations, that is number of times cited is document first is 124, the same author's document. The next document cited 106 citations. Another document is having 87 citations, whereas document 12 number of citations are 21, and document 14 is having number of times cited 15, whereas 15 has a number of citations 14. So less than 15, its H and X is 14. So this is the method how we calculate, maybe digitally or maybe manually. Again, on the Google Scholar, you can find out, you can check these values. Like again, on the Google Scholar, this is one of the author, James F. Larson, who has found out like I-10 index is also given, H and X is given, and for different years like for 2008 and for all the years. Its H and X is 13, I index is also. I index means when it would simply refer the papers, those are having citations more than 10, equal to 10 or more than 10. It may be any number, but there is no other parameter. Just you will enlist your citation in the decreasing order. You will pick up the number where the citations are 10 or more than 10. That is your I-10 index. But by the way, this is same for all. Here it is on 9 and this is 7. So this is again one particular method, finding H and X values. On Web of Science, again, it will give you, you'll just see the numbers he has given relative to, like even it will give in a kind of your plots for citations in each year, published items. So there are, they have given a data in many forms. You will, if you are interested to see a chart, if you are interested to see a graph, so all these data are available on Web of Science if we have a subscribed to that particular database. Okay, this is all about your H and X, because generally H and X is more important because the author rating is generally made by that H index, but every index will have like certain positive things and certain negatives or certain limitations are there. We will define a G index. The G index is an index for quantifying scientific productivity based on publication record. It was suggested 2006 by Lee Agee. The index is calculated based on the distribution of citations received by a given researcher. So publications given a set of articles ranked in decreasing order, same as as we have measured the impact factor, number of citations that they received. The G index is the largest number such that the top G articles at least G2 citations. The top G article, it will pick up the top articles, maybe 5, upper 5 articles that the total citations are square of a 5, like 25. Then that 5 is the G index. So together we will take a number that is having citations square of that number. In simple words, this means that an author that produces n articles is expected to have an average n citations for each of them in order to have a G index of n. In this way, it is similar to the H index, with the difference that the number of citations per article are not explicit. So HB index, this is the G index that generally records, it will pick up your top papers, the top documents that have a higher citations. HB index Generally, the H index commonly used a bibliographic measure of impact, but it has some criticism. It can be the same for authors with very different total citations, because many times it may be a same for a very experienced authors and even for a new authors. That will depend upon whatever variation in your citations you have. It has no contribution for this is about H index. It has no contributions for papers cited fewer times than H. This is one of the main limitation of H index, because there are so many papers, those have citations fewer less than the H index. Suppose your H index is 14. There are so many of your publications, those have citations below 14. It may be 13, it may be 12. There are papers that may have 1, 2, 3, 4. It do not consider all these papers. Also, it does not give any weightage to the access citations. Like in one of the example which we have studied, one or two publications are having more than 100 citations, even 200 citations, 300 citations. But for the access citations, if H index is 14, it will give not any weightage to these access publications also. This is the main limitation, that you cannot identify immediately by knowing the H index. Now, HP index it addresses these deficiencies of H index. HP index is proposed as a simple, straightforward modification. It is an extension of the H index and developed by Mitchell Banks of the Max Planck Institute for Solid State Research, Germany. So HP index is H plus square root of E, where H is the H index as we already calculated, E is the sum of all citations, minus H square means E is the access citations not credited by the H index. As we have studied, the main limitation of H index is it will not give any credit to the lesser number of citations than excess number of citations. So HB index is specially defined to give a credit of that. So it defines like H plus square root of E, where E is the sum of, means E is the excess citations, where H is the H index, E is the sum of all citations. It includes all, and minus H square. H is the H index. Square of that is subtracted from that, then automatically you will define your HB index. And greater than H square citations are excess citations, and it appears reasonable and desirable to modify the H index. That's why we are defining HB index. This is especially important for young scientists who may have only a few papers and a comparatively low H index, because when the citations, because if there is a new scientist, her publications are having fewer number of citations. So in that case, its H index is very less. So by considering his other citations may be lesser than that, so it is beneficial for them. HB index relieves the ripening fruit. Ripening means when some researchers are gaining experience, whereas the H index reveals only the fully ripened fruit, because in that case, when we only consider H index, it is much beneficial, or it indicates the only the experienced authors. In one event, as it creates a unitary increase in H on the special occasions that a citations occurs for a nearly ripe papers. They simply are like actual perceptions. You will just check if a table is given, like for citation distributions, A, where total citations are 100. For 10 number of publications, there are no excess citation, as each citation is having 10 each publication having 10 citations. So its H index is and HB index is same, because there is no excess paper. But there is one another paper, again it is having a 10 publication, but citations are 90. In this case, if its H and X is 10, means 90 publications are access, and its HP index is this. That comes out to be 100, because square of this is 100 minus, so access value automatically comes out to be a 90. Square root of 90, by adding to this it comes HP index. So these are the some of the clear, we can say examples. You can just visualize how it affects, like in this case where total publications are 260 and total citations are more than 7,000, 7,150. Access citations are more than 5,000, 5,550. So H and X is only 40, but its HV index is much higher. So automatically it indicates that so many access citations are there. So you have an idea about the author, how many citations what is the impact relatively by comparing these two. Now this last is, okay, how we can find out these indices on the websites. I will just show you a small video that automatically indicates you, okay, how you can find out these indices on the probably. If it works, I think it will not work next. This simply defines how you can find out these parameters, these values for different authors. Then the self-announcement H index strategy. Although, if you can say, many of the teachers, professors indicate it as a manipulation, but otherwise there is a strategy how you can improve your own H index, because otherwise this is only possible if you know about what these statics are, what H index is, what impact factor is. If you understand, then you can plan relatively to improve your own H index. Like it clearly indicates, you can refer your papers in your publications. Even the other authors in a group can refer, they can cite your publications and their publications. So that will automatically, if you make such type of manipulations to just such type of strategy, we can say instead of manipulations, you can improve your H index also. So these are, otherwise, even if the advantage is also, if you make such type of a group, means you are sharing your research with each other, and relatively there are the chances that it will add the quality to your research also, so that you're concerned with the other authors will only refer it, only cite it if I will publish a actual research. So these are, but otherwise, finally, as very clear, there is no way to get experience except through experience. If you by own experience all that when you're publishing, making, improving your H index, then you will better understand the ways and better understand the strategies also. So this is all about. Thank you all for your patience listening. So I'm available for any type of your questions, any type of your queries.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this very informative session. Thank you very much. Uh, Participants, anybody have any question, please? You can also put your question in chat box.
Even I will unshare my screen.
Yes, sir.
अनशेयर पता नहीं होगी अनशेयर या नहीं हुई.
Stop
हाँ जी.
sharing, sir. There is option to stop sharing.
अच्छा वाले करनी पड़ेगी.
Stop sharing, sir. There is an option on the top.
Okay, I will make that. There is stop sharing. Click on this.
Yes, sir.
But it comes out the sharing वाला आ रहा है ना. Stop sharing वाला कितने आ रहे हैं तो.
Top पे sir, ऊपर top पे आ रहा है.
अच्छा stop video है ना, यही है ना.
Yes sir.
No,
Stop.
that नहीं है. अच्छा आ रहा है पर ठीक है. Stop sharing. एक मिनट मेरी स्क्रीन पे सही नहीं आ रहा. Okay.
Yes sir. Sir, anybody have any question, please? You are welcome.
This is a kind of, I have already discussed that it is a kind of discussion. So we can make discussion, even you can add certain new things to the presentation so that we will share on another platform. It will be added with some of the new things. So that will add value also. Even if you have any of your query also, we can make discussion on that also.
So there is a question in chat box. How we will find a citation for our paper?
Citation for our paper, it is very easy. You can visit any of like Google Scholar or other databases. When you, the method I think I have enlisted in the video, I have shown you all. You will click, find out add your name as an author. It will enlist your publications along with the citations. Otherwise, if you are subscribing for like Scopus or that elsewhere, sense that you can directly go over there, it will give you a complete detail relative to for your each paper, how many citations are there, what is your H index, and the other values related to your authorship. It is available online. But it is already calculated. You are just to check it on these platforms. If your publications are like that, if you have only your publications for like the sources, those are not available online, then automatically it will not indicate your publication over there. Only your publications, those come in these groups, these data sciences. It may be ISI publications, otherwise it may be a Scopus publication, then automatically you can see its citation. Otherwise now there is a Orchard, there is many of the other softwares available that can simply give you your citation, and many times if you update your information there, you will even receive email or some other type of notification regarding this paper has been referred somewhere else. So the detail भी नाल आ जाती है where it is referred.
There is a question from Mr. Arun Kumar. Kindly suggest some journals or articles which gives free publication to students of their project.
Generally there are, even I can say there is a low quality journals. Those are we can say give the paid publications. Otherwise, all the reputed journals are free for your publications. You can visit any of like this Elsewhere journals you can see, Scopus journals you can see. Many times they will give you an email regarding to pay for their publication, but when you make a request that I'm a academic researcher and I do not have any funds, they will waive off all the charges. Generally, all reputed journals will publish your papers free of cost. It is not a one or two journals; it's a number of journals.
Okay, sir.
हाँ जी,
Thank
any
you.
other question?
नमस्ते सर।
हाँ जी, नमस्कार।
ये जो SCI हब जैसे हम ऑनलाइन सर्च करते हैं फ्री वाले जर्नल्स को, जैसे एल्सवेयर का हमारे पास अकाउंट नहीं है अगर, तो ऐसे ही और कोई वेबसाइट भी है या SCI हब जैसे हम एक्सेस कर सके कोई लेटेस्ट?
बिल्कुल जैसे साइंस ट्रैक्ट हैं, लेकिन ज्यादातर इट हैपेंस लाइक कि अगर इफ यू नीड अ फुल कॉपी ऑफ
लेटेस्ट
द
जर्नल नहीं
पेपर,
आते उसमें, जैसे 1 ईयर ओल्ड आ जाते हैं लेकिन सभी
1 year old आ जाते हैं। लेटेस्ट अभी मे बी दे हैव नॉट बीन पब्लिश्ड।
ओके ओके।
तो उसकी अगर many times if they have made that publication, if it is in press also, then even you can search the website of that particular journal, you can find out that many times they will give this is in press without
Okay,
like
okay,
page number and without volume number. You will find out many of the issues of the journals if you visit a particular journal website. Otherwise,
sir.
when you search through these databases, they will only give you the published papers.
Yeah, DOI index. Thank you, sir.
Any other question from any participant? Okay, sir. I think there is no query in the chat box. Or thank you very much for sharing your valuable time.
Thank you for all the delegates, participants.
Ma'am, you have any question?
Can we have your contact number or email ID?
It's on our website.
Sir, can we have your contact number or email ID?
You want to note it down, or I will put it in a chat box? I will put
Yes,
in a
sir.
chat.
Please chat box में आप डाल दीजिए, please, sir.
I'm giving my personal email ID. Otherwise, on the website, the email ID is available bc@mrsptq. But my personal, I'm writing in the chat box.
You can visit on university website, that is Maharaja Ranjit Singh Punjab Technical University Bathinda.
In the chat box, I have written my email ID as well. I'm writing my number also. So any one of you can contact for any of your query regarding this, like this talk also, but otherwise
Thank
also,
you, sir.
if you have any issue.
Sir, can we get the YouTube channel link, sir? We will share it in YouTube.
Okay.
This lecture we will.
That is good if you.
Yes, sir. We will connect with the YouTube, and link will be shared with the participants.
Good.
Any other query? Thank you, sir. I think there is no query for. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable time with us and giving a very knowledgeable talk. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm leaving.
Thanks.